Hi, I'm DJ Ware. On this episode of the Cyber Gizmo, I'm going to be talking about this. This is the ZimaBoard. This is from Ice Whale, and this is the version 832. So yeah, we're going to be digging into that today and taking a look at some of its features. So let's dig in and get started. The ZimaBoard was I think a Kickstarter program that was about maybe a year and a half ago or so, something like that. But in any event, there are three models of the ZimaBoard, and I believe they're working on yet a newer one that isn't quite ready for release yet. But there's some information out on their website if you're interested in looking at that. But the first one is it's real easy to figure out what each of these do by the model number. The first number, this is the 232. The first number is, well, actually, I think it is just the amount of memory. And then the second number, two numbers, 32, is the amount of storage that's built in to the eMMC. And that is on board on the system. So the 232 is based on the Intel N3450. And that is a dual core. It runs between 1.1 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz in speed, contains 2 gig of memory, and of course it has two LAN ports. As you can see here, there are two 1 gig LAN ports and two USB 3.0 ports down here. And on the side, there is a PCIe adapter. This is a PCIe Gen 2. And this is a 4-lane adapter. And then on the front, there is two SATA ports and SATA power. There is a cable that comes with this for a single SATA drive that comes with this device. And then you can order, if you want, a splitter cable that shares power between two SATA ports on here. So you can do that as well. As far as other device I/O, there is also a mini DVI port right here, which you'll need to get an adapter if you want to plug this into a full-size DVI connector or an HDMI connector to plug into your monitor. The second model is the 432. That's a little bit different. It has a N3450 CPU, which is a quad core. It clocks between 1.1 gigahertz and 2.2 gigahertz. It has 4 gig of memory, and again, the rest is the same, 32 gig of storage, 1 gigabyte Ethernet, and so forth. The last model is the 832, and the 832 shares all the same things with the 432, except it comes with 8 gig of memory instead of 4. Some of the use cases for this device is it can be a network storage server. It can be a VPN. It can handle streaming for video or audio. You can also make it a Docker server, a smart home server. You can serve media content for your home movies or provide secure router features such as OpenVirt or pfSense. It'd be a good starter system for a pfSense box as well. And you can do some virtualization with it as well, even though as far as operating system support is concerned, this board provides support for either Android, and it does come pre-installed with Casa OS on it. There's also LibreELEC, and so if you want to do multimedia with that, you can. And then, of course, it'll support most Linux distros because this is a x86-64 architecture. You can also install OpenVirt and pfSense, which would be FreeBSD. And it also supports Windows. I don't know if it supports Windows 11 or not. You might be able to get that to work. I don't run Windows, so I can't really be of much help to you there. The basic pricing for the ZimaBoard is, for the model 232, it'll start at $119.90. The 432 is $159.90, and the 832 is $199.90. So about $200, in other words, for that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go set up Alpine, and that's the operating system I'm going to choose to run my ZimaBoard on, and then I'm going to set up Docker on it, and then we'll build up an ownCloud, because I'm going to start moving my cloud storage off of the network and onto the private cloud here. Okay, I'm not going to go through the install of Docker and ownCloud today. This is not the purpose of what I'm trying to do today. What I'm trying to do is to show you that the ZimaBoard is quite capable of running workloads like this. And so I'm on the ZimaBoard right now, and we can look at, some information here about what operating system we're running. This is Alpine. The reason I chose Alpine is because I haven't seen anybody actually try to run Alpine on this board, and it seems like a natural because it has quite a bit of memory, and it's a very low overhead CPU. So I think this matches up well with its capabilities. And so what I did was I installed Docker and Docker Compose. I also put on ownCloud, which was the original source code that was forked to make Nextcloud. So yeah, and so it's perfect for the stated purpose of the ZimaBoard, which is to help you migrate from the public cloud to your own private cloud. And so I thought, well, let's just carry that forward. Alpine is a good operating environment for Linux to be able to put on a server and run Docker. And I thought, okay, that might make a good marriage. Let's give it a try. All right, so how are we doing? You have to do this as root, because some of the Docker overlays are owned by root. So up here you can see that with the information that we're storing, and most of that is Docker, as you can see. So we're using up about 7.1 gig. Now most of that is data, because I have been moving my files over into the ownCloud. And so, yeah, most of that is data. It is storing it in var. What I probably will do is I will shut this down, clean out the database, clean out everything, and then redirect the files over to their own storage pool. So I'm not writing to my root file system for all this stuff, because the lesson I have learned is when you run out of root space, your system crashes. And so, yeah, if you run out of space on a user drive, who cares? It'll just throw a bunch of error messages and keep right on going. It won't crash. So anyway, let's take a look at memory and see how we're doing there. Now with Docker up, now you can see the containers are up and running, and there are 3 containers for ownCloud. There's Redis, MariaDB, and of course the ownCloud app itself. So we're occupying about 402 meg, which is really not bad. That's not bad at all. Let's see what it looks like with the app caches. So with the app caches, we're at 700 and almost 40. Yeah, there's 42. So yeah, that's going to be about right. It seems like, wow, that's a huge jump, but it's not, because there's so many files open and databases open. Yeah, the app caches are they're gonna quickly swamp how much memory is in use. So what we want to do is let's go see if the app is up and running, and it looks like it is. Yep, it is. So we'll sign in. And you can see that, yeah, I've been moving some of my files over here. Some of my, I don't keep my stuff out on a public cloud, but I did have this up on a virtual machine. And now that I have this machine, I'm going to start using it. I'm going to put it to work. Yep, I'll put it on the shelf, put it to work. So I'll be moving over. I have quite a few more files to move. Yeah, it works fine. And I think probably the next step here is to, well, here, let's see. Amdahl in his first machine. I don't know if I have any movies in here. I can look. I don't think so. But yeah, it will handle, of course, imagery, videos, and PDFs, text documents, all that kind of stuff, source code even as well. So let's see, do I have any? Yeah, I do. So it's not showing me the image, but we can bring it up. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, so this is on a SATA drive, which is why it's so slow. We're going to fix that, although it's not too bad. So I think the next step is I'll give you my final thoughts on this device, and then we'll go benchmark it and compare it against some other machines that I have benchmarked in the past. So let's go do that. So I wanted to give you my final thoughts. I have been working with this board for almost 4 weeks now, kind of off and on, playing with different things with it, and it is not the fastest CPU that's out there, but that's really not the point. A server doesn't have to be that fast. It just needs to be responsive enough to do the job that it was assigned to do. Now, in my case, retrieving files, bringing them back, letting me read them, pick out parts of them to use in videos or pull quotes or whatever I need from them in order to produce video. I think it's fine. I was surprised when Alpine was able to install without a hitch. It went entirely smooth. The Docker installation for Alpine is it's a little tricky, but it's mainly because they have some best practices that they follow in order to protect the Docker containers a bit. And so, yeah, you do need to pay attention to what they're telling you to do in order to give a little bit more protection to those things. But as far as the board is concerned, it has a lot of different storage options available to it. The first thing you have is the eMMC, which is the onboard 32 gig storage mechanism that replaces SD cards. Basically, it's about, I think I haven't measured one recently, but I think they're about 2 to 3 times faster than an SD card, and they are way more reliable. SD cards will, in Linux, I usually replace them after a year. I have gone as long as 2 years, but that's pushing it. I mean, because of the wear and tear that logging and all that kind of stuff puts on them. Besides the eMMC, there is SATA connections. There are 2 SATA connections and 1 power connection. If you want to use both of the SATA connections, now it does come with a cable, and the cable is to utilize one of the SATA connections and one of the power. So, and that's it. But they do make a cable that will split the power between 2 SATA connectors, and so you can put 2 SATA drives on the machine. The other thing you can do is there's also a PCIe Gen 2 slot, and that works very well. I have not finished my benchmarking for that, but so far I can tell you that in looking at the speed of that, I don't notice any degradation, at least with the drive I'm using, which is a P950. It's not one of the most modern ones. It was one that I purchased in 2016, I think. So that's been 7 years ago. Now, yeah, it was in the summer of 2016, so that's been a long time. And it still works. It's still good. It was pretty heavily loaded for a while. So there is a board that you can buy from them that will provide you with 2 NVMe slots. So you have that, you have the two SATA slots, plus you have two USB 3.0 on the back that you can utilize for whatever devices you need. And then I had to purchase a DVI to HDMI converter in order to hook it up to a monitor to be able to see what I was doing when I was installing Alpine, of course. So yeah, you will need that, at least from a console standpoint. But yeah, it works great. I wish that some of the cables were included in it. And if you want to run pfSense on it, there have been a number of reviewers on YouTube that have installed pfSense. It works very well. So yeah, I just wanted to try Alpine because I figured no one else had tried it yet. So that's all I had. Let's go look at benchmarks and then we'll call it a day. I wanted to thank my Patreons though before we go, and also my channel members. Thank you both of those groups for your support. I hope to see you all again real soon. Stick around, and benchmarks up next. And bye for now.